Good morning, Coolest Coast. It is time for Coffee with Kristin and Tina. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Coffee with Kristin and Tina. Happy Valentine's Day. We're your hosts. This is Kristin O'Dell of KLO. I'm Tina Prigge of Vagabond Creative Studio. So good to see you. Happy Valentine's Day, Kristin.
Happy Valentine's Day to you.
How is the world through rose-colored glasses on this Valentine's Day?
It's very nice. It's very warm and loving, right? Is that
You
right?
are rocking those glasses, by the way.
Hold me closer, tiny dancer.
I know it's your girls that have been auditioning for the shows, but you should think of it too. I think you've got it.
Listen, I have it in moments that are like this long, and then it's over.
It's not sustained.
The whole idea of doing a theatrical production. I mean, I teach. I guess there's some preparation, but that sounds exhausting to me.
It is. You know what? It's actually good that you bring that up because when you see somebody on stage doing a good job, it took a lot of work to get there. Hours of rehearsal, memorizing lines, memorizing choreography, practicing it all, right?
Right.
Yeah, it is exhausting.
Yeah. I don't think it's my jam, but I like to pretend.
And that's why, too, if you see a good show, give them your applause, give them an ovation because it's worth it.
My girls bought these because they wanted them for youth group tonight because it's Valentine's Day. And I'm like, I think I'm going to wear them for the show.
Yeah, I think I want to wear them all the time.
I'm going to get you a pair. And then I'm going to drive around town with them on today and see if people look at me funny.
Sometimes I have to go to work sites that require safety glasses. I would love a pair of safety glasses like that. Wouldn't that be cool? Like rolling up and be like,
that would be amazing. These do not have any side coverage, so these would not
qualify.
These would not meet OSHA standards. But yeah,
I wonder if they make safety glasses in fun designs.
I mean, I definitely know they have different colors because it can help with lighting and reflection. So I know there's a yellow, there's kind of a grayish tint. They have some that are reflective. Yeah, that's a really good question. They should make it safety should be more fun.
Right. Maybe that's the missing element. If it was more fun, maybe people would be able to embrace it more.
That's right. Are any co-working places that require safety glasses handing out heart-shaped safety glasses today? That would be really amazing.
I love it. I think we're on to something. So how do we look to you, Kristin, through the rose-colored glasses right now? Does it mess with your screen or anything, or is it all the same?
No. I mean, it's just a little bit, different colors, but no, it's good. Life is good through rose-colored glasses, friends.
Nice. A friend, I got a card in the mail, and it was just a sweet little Valentine's card and had a beautiful little message and a couple of Snoopy and Woodstock stickers, and it wasn't even signed. It was just this beautiful, and it just completely made my day. Now I knew who it was right away because it's just her style to do something that sweet and that cool, but it made me realize that when you do something for someone else like that as a surprise, it really goes a long way, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think when it's unexpected, then it means more or kind of impacts you more. That's really nice.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, will you return that? I feel like you're good at surprises. I've been the benefactor of your surprises at times. Will you return the favor at some point?
At some point, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I guess we do that from time to time to each other anyway, but it just really hit at the right time, the right moment, just a lovely surprise out of nowhere. Yeah. In the middle of an ordinary day, something sweet happens.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. Will you and Jason celebrate Valentine's Day today?
Yes. So we're going to go see the Let Me Be Frank productions at Capitol Civic Center tonight. How fun. It's always such a good laugh. It's funny. It's great entertainment. He and his wife, how you can just feel the love coming from the stage. So I feel like we're going to have a really fun time.
Hey, listen, and if you haven't seen a Frank's production, the music and vocal quality is exceptional. So I would highly recommend, just in case somebody's watching and they don't have tickets or they haven't been, do you know what the title of the show is this time?
Yes, it's called 2.5 Belgians.
Awesome. The dry humor and local humor in these shows, Frank writes everything himself. and they put on these shows. I'm always impressed that he can continue to come up with ideas that are locally inspired and still write and have new ideas.
Right. And then work in this awesome music, right? Because, aside from the script and the humor, all of those performers are really talented musicians. And
Yes.
so like to hear them just belt out this fun tune in the midst of, this comedy, it's a pretty cool mashup.
What a great date night.
Speaking of theater, Tim said everything is exhausting. Theater is no more exhausting than, say, working at a factory or working at Jimmy John's. But there's not
See,
usually applause at Jimmy John's.
that's correct. I want to disagree with that just a little bit because I think that when people are working with their strengths and they're in a place that fits what they're naturally really good at, work doesn't feel like work. It feels like flow. And which is from our book conversation, right? We had this conversation during our book club. You kind of get in a zone where you just work happens in time lapses. And I actually had this experience yesterday afternoon. I had 2 coaching meetings back to back with 2 entirely different clients. And I leave that and I think like, I know I hit some notes because I'm challenging people to think and they pause in conversation and things like that. And so I know that I'm providing guidance for them, but I also leave feeling just so full. Like it feels like I get paid to talk to people. That's emotional
Aw,
it is. So that doesn't feel exhausting to me at all. Where
it's
performing on stage for an hour and a half would.
it's like work nirvana, getting in that flow you talked about.
Yeah. Yes, work nirvana. What a beautiful way to say that. Yeah.
I love it. And what I want to know is what's on the docket for the Odells.
Well, we've kind of talked about this a little bit. Oh, let's see, Tim. How much theater have you done to disagree, Kristin? If you have no knowledge, your outlook doesn't imply all that much.
Well, we're
So
talking perceptions here, but okay,
we
go
are
ahead.
going, I'm going to go all the way back to 7th grade at Washington Junior High School. It was a junior high school back then in the olden days, in the Kristin olden days. And I was a stagehand and I did sound effects, by the way. That was fun because I didn't have to perform on stage. But I can tell you that I teach for my job and I have to elevate my energy level to teach and be in front of people. And when I get done with that, I am exhausted. So,
And as a theater mom, you kind of get to observe that firsthand.
absolutely. Now, my girls' energy level increases as they're on stage. They get like it gives them life. I know just from prepping and teaching that it is a drainer for me. So like I don't typically book more than 1 session a week where I'm like on because it is taxing.
Yeah, and it's important that you know what is good for you and what is not, right? Like
Yeah,
what helps you achieve your work nirvana and
right.
what is like something you're willing to do and you're good at it, but it does not fill you up. It just
Yeah. And it's hard because teaching fills me up and I love the connection. It's just different than one-on-one work. So it just requires a different furnace.
Okay, so the Odells on Valentine's Day, what does that look like?
We are, so I told you guys we had heart-shaped pasta. Once again, I did not bring it in the office with me. I don't know what my problem is. Making homemade spaghetti sauce. My mom is coming over. We're just hanging out and enjoying the evening together. Nothing too fancy.
Well, I know, Kristen, I need to get into your lineup for lunches every day because look at how cute this is. Even the cucumbers are heart shaped.
Yeah. So my kiddos go to a Catholic school that is celebrating Ash Wednesday today. And so they had all of their Valentine festivities yesterday. And yeah, I wanted them, like, what says unconditional love more than, staying up later in the night and cutting the cucumbers out for your children?
Yeah.
So I know
Good
some of,
morning, Mary.
good morning, Mary. Some of the other kids wanted to try the heart shaped cucumbers. I don't know if they thought they would taste different or,
I had to put the picture back up because doesn't it almost look like they would taste better than a normal cucumber?
maybe. Yeah. And then I told the kids yesterday for lunch, I cut the rest of the cucumber up for me, but then I also ate all of the outsides like any good mom would do.
All of the crusts.
I ate all of the cucumber crusts.
Oh, interesting. What about the sandwich crusts?
I had a couple bites when I was cutting them out, but there's not much left. So
Is that like a cookie cutter, or how did you?
yeah, yeah, they're cookie cutters. I just have a whole set of all different size hearts. So depending on what I'm trying to cut,
That's awesome.
I can make adjustments.
You
So
can put love into anything you're making.
that's right.
Okay, hey, I need you, Kristin, viewers, I need all of you to cross your fingers. So my son is at college, right? This is his first year away at college, living in a dorm, and he sent me a picture last night of a box, a heart-shaped box, and a little note that he left outside of a girl's door. So it's a total first step for him. We're
Oh,
like, we have no idea how this is gonna go, but it's so cool that you're like putting yourself out there. So
that's so awesome. Is he going to be happy or mad that you're announcing this to the world on Facebook?
don't tell him I said this. But I just thought the more of us that could be rooting for him.
Oh, yes. I am so going to root for that. That's so, like, if you just think back to those days, right? It's so exciting. I can't imagine, like, the buildup inside of him to, like, get to the point where he, like, was he going to drop it and then knock and run?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. Like, I
Oh,
hope. I have no idea. And what's funny is he sent a picture. He was like, "Should I also add this stuffed animal to what I'm doing?" And I'm like, "You might want to take it slow. Like, this is a total unknown." I said, "You don't want to overdo it." And he wrote back, he's like, "You can overdo it." And then he sent me a mind blown emoji. I was like, there is so much to learn.
oh, I love it. That is so sweet. How exciting, man.
So exciting. But so if anyone has any like young love dating advice that you want me to pass on, share it in the comments because
Yeah. It's funny because we toured Lincoln High School, I think it was last week with Grace. We're getting ready to make a high school decision. And I was walking through the halls and I was thinking, when I was in high school, back in the late 90s, you could buy heart-shaped sucker pops with a note and have them delivered during class.
that's right. We had that too at Roncalli.
I wonder if they still do it,
That is a great question.
right? Because it was like if you got one during class, even if it was from a friend, nobody knew because like it was, first of all, you were super cool. And second of all, it was pretty special.
Super special. I wonder if they still do that. Wait, and so how close is Grace to going to college or high school?
Next year, so she'll graduate 8th grade this year at the school she's at. So yeah,
Wait a second. So does that mean that this tall girl next to you, who's almost taller than you, is that Grace?
yes, yep, that's her. That's
Kristin.
And for the record, I'm scrunched down a little bit. So she's like 5'6" and I'm 5'7". With my hair, I could get 5'8", but
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, because I looked at this picture and I saw Josie. I
Yeah.
saw Nora. I'm like, oh, Grace must not have been there. And then I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So last Wednesday was my dad's birthday, his first heavenly birthday. And I said to my mom, do you want to do something? And she was like, yes, I would love to do that. Because we've always gone out for dinner, celebrated my dad's birthday. So we went out and tried the Tipsy Tomato for the first time, which was fabulous, and had cupcakes and just hung out and celebrated his day and celebrated being together. So this is the whole crew with my dad's picture.
Who drew the picture of your dad?
Do you know who RJ Skripinski is?
I do.
So RJ Skripinski took the photograph of my dad and pencil drew it so that we all have a copy of that in our homes.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Isn't it? So it was super. It was just such a good night. It was fun to be together, and we actually had at my dad's service, we had memory cards out, and people could put them in this lantern, and we had tucked them away. And I think we had thought, oh, we'll do them on Thanksgiving, and then we ended up having my mom's whole family at Thanksgiving, so we didn't go through it. And Christmas kind of came and went, and so we pulled them out and we went through the memory cards from his service at dinner that night. So it was really fun because we passed the bag around and everybody grabbed one and read one off. And, there were obviously tears and emotions, but it was such a healthy way to grieve.
Yeah. What a beautiful idea.
Thanks.
So well planned. That's amazing.
Not planned at all, which I think is the beautiful thing. Somebody gave me such good advice about losing a parent and kind of memorializing them and said, just let it be organic. Don't force it. The right things will come. And I think that is such a beautiful example of that is, you know, a couple of days or a week before, I'm like, hey, what if we do dinner? And just the pieces just kind of came together, but it wasn't forced. And so that makes it great.
I love that. Did you hear any memories that, you were surprised by or hadn't known before or
There were a couple that were surprised. There were a couple that were just like sweet, like memories. And then there were a couple like from my dad's colleagues that were in there. And, just having those other perspectives from people like I was little when my dad worked. So you don't have that perspective of, nobody thinks that their parents have colleagues when they're little. You know what I mean? So it was just neat to read some of the cards from the people that my dad worked for the Manitowoc Public School District for a very, very long time, over 40 years. And so it was neat to see some of those in there.
yeah, when you're little, even if your parents do have colleagues, you don't process it in the same way as once you're an adult and you understand who colleagues are, right?
Right. Right. And I can remember thinking, and, just this is that kind of unknowing kid mindset, but my parents both worked first shift and they both worked shift work. And so in my world, nobody worked on second or third shift. That's just what you did. And I can remember like taking my driving test and thinking like, what are all these people doing out? Like, shouldn't all these people be at work? Not obviously realizing that people worked at all different times of the day. And, it's those things you realize as you grow up.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Kristin, we have, thanks to the generosity of Genesis Integrative Medicine, we have a ticket to give away for the Women's Summit. I just want to put this up really quick that the Women's Summit is happening on March 9th, 2024. Tickets are available, but again, thanks to Genesis Integrative, we've got one to give away. Now, to give it away, we asked people last week to comment on a post and to say why they wanted to attend. And there was some really beautiful and really thoughtful feedback. So thank you to everyone that did that.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're giving it away live on the show.
what we did is everybody that had a response that met the parameters, we've put into this little wheel of names. And I'm going to spin the wheel, and where it stops, that'll be our winner. And then whoever is chosen as the winner, what we'll do is we'll follow up with a direct message on Facebook and give you all the details. Okay, is everybody ready?
I'm so ready. This is so exciting.
You want to do a drum roll, Kristin?
Woo!
Brooke Noiser!
Brooke! I know Brooke. I'm going to text her right now. Can you put that?
Yep.
Snap a picture of that screen. Woo! And us, because we're so cute. That's so awesome!
Brooke, congratulations. And we're so excited you're going to join us at the Women's Summit.
Hey, let me just tell you guys, tickets are starting to sell. So, it's kind of started out slow in November and December, and January picked up. Tickets are really starting to fly off the shelf. I think people kind of have an idea of what their schedule is now. And so the deadline to buy your ticket, I think, is March 1st. And I'm just going to look at March 1st. So,
and that makes sense. Preparations are needed, right? Food, all of that.
Yes. And so if you have been debating about this or trying to think, well, first of all, you don't need to come with anybody. We are going to make you feel so comfortable and so happy. You don't need to worry about if you want to come by yourself and can't find somebody to go. But second of all, don't hesitate to buy your ticket because every day we sell a couple and pretty soon they're going to be gone.
And it's going to be, I think, just a lovely day, especially based on this schedule. I don't have the full schedule showing.
That's right.
But, these pictures from last year where there's yoga, people are just in their casual, comfy clothes, enjoying the day. I was just so filled up. I felt fulfilled at the end of that day and made some great new connections that I'm still in touch with from that event.
Absolutely. Like Tara is one of the people. Tara Hartman runs Genesis Integrative Medicine. I met Tara at that event. And it has just been so fabulous getting to know her and getting to know her business. And, we're really excited to have some really incredible women in our community. So, Tina, I know the shirt you have on today is special. Can you tell our viewers what your shirt is all about?
All right, so if you can see this, embrace your brave. So I'm going to be doing a little talk, kind of like a little pep session, and it's around embracing your brave, right? And that doesn't mean that you're not afraid, right? Like courage is doing something through the fear. We just want to talk about embracing that and how it can benefit us in our lives and how we can support others to do that, right? And because even this whole little example of what we were talking about, Kristin, you said if you don't have somebody to go with, go do it. Treat yourself to this. It is worth it. Like maybe you're a little apprehensive, maybe there's a little trepidation. Go through that fear, embrace your brave, come and join us. And Genesis Integrative Medicine sponsoring this ticket is a great example of like women empowering women to be their best selves. That's what it's all about.
Yes. It is so awesome. We are so excited for that event. And I also want to mention, because one of the things that came up as we work through this event is we are hosting it at the beautiful Franciscan Center here in Manitowoc, in the atrium there, which means a ton of natural light, a beautiful view out those windows. Somebody asked about if it was a religious affiliated event because it was at that location. And it's not. And so I think this is something that's super important for our community to know. That Franciscan Center is available for rentals, and you don't have to be affiliated with the Catholic Church or anything related to their schools or anything like that. You can go and rent that facility and use it, and it is gorgeous there. And they have the theater space. They have that beautiful atrium space. There's another room we're going to be using for yoga, which we are excited to introduce people to. And there's a catering kitchen there. So there is a ton of flexibility. It's a great setup.
Yeah.
It's underutilized.
So well described. And yes, if you haven't been there, it is worth checking it out and possibly planning your next event there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I also want to mention like they host concerts and speaker series and other things out there. So again, it's just a way of supporting the arts. It's just a different spot than what we've been accustomed to in the past.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I think it's going to be great. And if it's a really chilly day, they have a fireplace in the atrium.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be beautiful. So Tina, we're talking about kind of embracing our brave and getting to know different people. You sent me a picture of you and Jason with a group of some guys. Can you just tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, this was yesterday morning. It was such a beautiful way to start the day. This is the Golden K Kiwanis Club meeting at the Manitowoc Senior Center. And there were actually two women in the group. One was just out of the frame of the picture, sadly. But it was awesome. They invited us to come and talk about our sister city friendship with Kamagawa. And we just spent the most delightful hour with these gentlemen. They had incredible questions, great feedback. A number of them actually traveled to Kamagawa with the Lakeshore Wind Ensemble back in the early 90s. So it was just all the good feels. And I just really wanted to give them a shout out because everyone in the group, they're retirees, but they're in that group because they love our community and they love doing positive, beneficial things and setting a great example here in our community.
That is so amazing. How did you find out about them or how did they find out about you?
Well, Jason Prigge got a message from his cousin Gary Prigge, member of the group. So
Nice.
I'm thinking there was probably some tie in there.
Yeah, that is so cool. So what's something that you shared with them that was surprising for them to hear?
I think talking about the incredible level of honesty and integrity in Japan, right? So let me tell you this quick story. I lived in Japan for 3 years. One year, I was going to be traveling outside of the country for a month, but coming back. So I was flying into and out of the same airport. So I had an airport hotel, the same one. So on my way outbound, I went into the hotel, vending machine, got two cans of soda, went back to my room, opened it, thinking it was a Coca-Cola. It was not. It was some like knockoff, and it just, it was not the flavor I wanted, right? So I dumped that out and I just set the other can aside. Leave the country, gone for a month. Now I come back to the same hotel and I check in. And when I check in, they're like, oh, Tina-san. And they reach down under the counter and they pull out the can of soda and give it back to me. And that blew my mind because to even give a can of soda that much value, and it's not that it was the item itself, but they knew it wasn't theirs and they knew it was mine and they wanted to make sure I got it back. And the fact that it occupied any brain space, occupied counter space, there must have been a note in the file or something. Somehow they knew that it was like all of those things blew my mind over a can of Coke, that level of integrity. And I love that.
That is a beautiful story. That just made me think of a local story, and I don't have all the details, but I'm going to share it anyway. Julie Grossman, who is the executive director of the YMCA or CEO of the YMCA, she lost her wallet in the past week, and it was returned to her, and it was returned to her with everything in it. Her cash, her credit cards, her driver's license, gift cards, everything. And, she commented about just the hope and good feeling that I hate to say is still good people out there, because there's a ton of good people out there. Don't let news fool you. But I thought, what a beautiful, just local kind of that story, right?
Yeah.
Somebody finding it and making sure that she got it back.
Oh, the relief that she must have felt. And thank you to whoever that good Samaritan was that did the right thing. That's cool.
I know. Can you imagine? I would just feel, again, not that you can't figure it out, but just that sick feeling knowing that you've lost all of that very personal, important stuff.
Yeah, and I hope she got it back before she had to actually cancel all those things.
I know, right? Oh my gosh.
Hey, one other thing I wanted to mention. So we're talking about embracing your brave. I'm reading a book that I just got. Actually, Jason saw it on a blog post and we couldn't find it anywhere. It must be out of print. I tried to find it on Amazon. It was like $150. I was like, oh no, I'm never going to read this book. But our amazing Manitowoc Public Library found it for me via interlibrary loan.
That's
And
so
it is
cool.
called The Longest Ride. This guy rode a motorcycle around the world. So for 10 years, 500,000 miles. And you can see as I'm reading the book, I actually have a world atlas because he's talking about these places like I've never been, or in details, that I'm just kind of following along. And it is fascinating and also terrifying. And I can't imagine. I can kind of imagine, but I'm so impressed that he did it.
Doug and I looked at that picture together last night, and I said, "Oh, she's got a map out. Maybe she's planning her trip."
This guy, so he left with like $30 in his pocket. And so he's also relying on the goodness of all of these people that he meets. And this is back in the 80s, but like, I just can't imagine all those unknowns.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you could. I feel like you did a version of this in your earlier days. My camel riding, traveling, seafaring friend. Right? Scuba diving. Like, you've done these things. You've just done it differently.
I suppose you're right. I suppose
Like,
you're right.
when I think about riding a camel and doing the travel you've done, I get the same feeling that you probably had reading about the motorcycle trip. It's all perspective.
It is all perspective. It is. And I
What?
imagine the perspective from those rose-colored glasses is amazing. They just look great on you, Kristin.
Thanks. Have you and Jason ever talked about, like, have you done, I feel like you only ride locally. Have you talked about doing a big trip with the motorcycle?
Yeah, our big goal is to get further afield, at least in Wisconsin. I really want to go up to like Bayfield, Apostle Islands, maybe hit the Lake Superior shore, right?
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. Doug
And
has
then,
purchased a new seat for his motorcycle so that I can handle riding for longer than an hour at a time.
do you have someplace in mind that you want to go? Are you guys scheming?
Not yet, but I do see us doing something more adventurous with it down the line. Like, we've talked about taking the motorcycle on the car ferry and then riding around in Michigan and then coming back, which, isn't that big of a trip, but much bigger than just riding around Manitowoc County.
Well, and it is because there's the unknowns too, right? Like if you have a car, it's easy to go anywhere and do anything because you're always protected from the elements. You can pull over, you can sleep even if you have to in a car. But a motorcycle, exposes you in a different way. You kind of have to plan. You have to think about weather. You have to think about, okay, am I going to be too tired and have to stop? There's so much to take into consideration.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's a different thing. Which again, maybe that's where the sense of adventure comes from.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that idea of taking the car ferry.
Maybe we should do it together.
Let's do it. That would be lovely.
It is decided.
Yeah. When will Doug get his motorcycle out, or has he been riding these nice days?
He has not been riding. So he was coached to not ride when there's still salt on the roads because it really gets in the gears and the brake system.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I would definitely, like, he's itching already. I can tell you that. I would think April. That's what I would guess. How about
you? That's my guess too, for all of those same reasons.
Yeah. Now he's going to have to get it out because just because of where he purchased it from, he needs to get it up to Green Bay to get the seat installed and stuff. So we'll see what happens, but when it's out, we will love it.
That's exciting. All right. And bucket list, we want to go to Japan and rent motorcycles and travel from the south to the north, following the cherry blossoms as they bloom. Now, this is
girl.
Total like pie in the sky bucket list, but that's like the dream.
I feel like that is very doable.
You guys want to come on that trip too?
Yeah, I totally want to. I want to bring my kids to Japan with you though. So we need a couple of years.
Speaking of kids in Japan, right now applications are being accepted for the student exchange program with Kamagawa this summer. Yeah. So if you've got a student in high school that you think is interested, go to the City of Manitowoc website or go to Google and type like Manitowoc Summer Student Exchange Program, and it should bring you to the link for the brochure and the details. Or message me and I'll send it to you.
Oh, man. Mary said, this is exactly what I needed today. Thanks, ladies. It's been really hard lately. My dad passed away last week, still trying to come to terms with it. Mary, we are praying for you, sending you love. Yeah, it is not easy to lose a parent. It's kind of ugly and gritty, and just know it will be for a while, and that's so okay.
Yeah. And it's okay to honor those feelings that you're having.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us today on this Valentine's Day. Kristin, you're so in the spirit. I absolutely love it.
Okay.
And congratulations to Brooke Noiser. She is the winner of the ticket. We will reach out to you with some details, Brooke. Everybody have a beautiful Valentine's Day. Love yourself.
Love yourself. Love your family.
All right, we're your hosts, Kristin O'Dell of KLO, Tina Prigge, Vagabond Creative Studio. We are signing off from this episode of Coffee with Kristin and Tina. We'll see you next time, everyone.